What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Red and Bold Show. I'm your host, Mark Adams. You can find me at 49ers Camelot. I'm joined by my co host, the great Anthony Robertson. You can find him at 49ers Cutback. Ant, it's been a couple of weeks, and a lot has happened in that time.
Yeah, a ton has happened. The 49ers, when we were talking last, it was kind of like things were going well. Even though you had Mac Jones at quarterback, the team was figuring things out. And now you're in a situation where it's not just Nick Bosa, but it's Fred Warner now. And anytime that you have losses like that to your roster, they're going to have ripple effects through your entire season and your entire roster. And I don't know if it gets much bigger than Fred Warner as far as a season-ending injury, a first ballot Hall of Famer, and honestly, a first ballot Hall of Fame person. I mean, the guy is just one of the best there is. So this one was a very significant injury, and I think that it does, cause a lot of questions now about this 49ers team in 2025. Because I think as long as 54 was there, you still had a belief in this 49ers defense, and I think it just got a little bit more difficult to kind of believe in this 49ers defense as much as you could without 54.
Yeah, and that's a great place to start because I wrote down here that I believe that Fred Warner is a bigger loss than Nick Bosa. Tell me why I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I mean, when Nick Bosa got hurt, this was my argument, was at least it wasn't Fred. Because I felt like with Nick Bosa getting injured, you could find ways to find production when it came to pass rush. You could even go out on the open market, where I felt like there were more options for the 49ers when it came to edge rushers. And we had heard John Lynch go on KNBR and talk about the fact they'd have productive phone calls and they were going to add someone. And it didn't even have to be like a big time star. It just had to be somebody that could add to the rotation, that could present some pass rush off the edge. With Fred Warner, where are you going to find another Mike Backer that can do what he can do? And, the 49ers are saying they're going to go with Tatum Bethune and that he's going to be their guy, according to Matt Mayoko. And that kind of stops some of the conversation about maybe like Quincy Williams from New York, or even, a DeMario Davis from New Orleans. I saw those names kind of popping up over the last, 24 hours or so. And so it's tough, but when you have a captain in the middle of your defense that runs everything, that puts everybody in the right spots, it's a coach on the field, losing him is going to have more effects than just what he did on the field in the play. Because I think Tatum Bethune's going to be okay. He's not going to be Fred Warner. He's not going to be great, but he's going to be okay. But you just can't make up the rest of it. Fred was a coach that could extend to the field and put everyone in the right places and make adjustments. You're not going to have that now. And now you have to find the next guy that steps up. It looks like it's going to be Deommodore Lenoir, but what kind of impact is that going to have? You don't even have like a Talanoa Hufanga on the back end to count on with this happening. So this is a very difficult injury to overcome. And this is one of the times when you're going to have to expect the players around to step up. And we're going to find out who some of these young guys are real quick.
Yeah, here's the thing. When Nick Bosa was injured, the talk was, and it was kind of ramping up here over last weekend, that the 49ers may go out and get somebody like a Trey Hendrickson or someone like that. Now that Fred Warner is out, along with Nick Bosa, I kind of think that maybe if they were ready to pull the trigger on some big trade, I kind of think that maybe this makes them go, nah, we're not going to go that route. And some of that is based on, I guess Tim Kawakami asked Kyle Shanahan, is this similar to 2019 when you guys went out and got Emmanuel Sanders? And Kyle said no, because we had a Super Bowl defense and all we needed was a wide receiver. That's not where this team is at. So I don't know about you, but I kind of think that the Fred Warner injury may have ended the thinking on the 49ers side, hey, let's go add a big fish. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes them push pause for sure. Because if you added a big fish to Fred Warner, then yeah, you're making up a little bit of that production you were losing from Nick Bosa. It made sense. You were a quality defense. You were probably around top 10 defense in the NFL. Without Fred Warner, we don't know how far this thing falls. And I see the comments in the comment section. They're right about Tatum Bethune. Tommy's saying he's not very good in coverage, and that's 100% accurate. And that's one of the question marks about this 49ers team. So I think they do a wait and see. After Nick Bosa, I thought it was wait and see. Let's see what we can get out of our defensive line before we determine what we want to do. I felt like they had a good barometer on what they needed to do after seeing what kind of production they were going to get. And then they were going to make a move. Now with Fred Warner, I think it's another wait and see. I think they sit back, they wait. They're going to play this thing out all the way until the trade deadline. And if something needs to happen, if they're still winning football games, they're finding ways to get something done. The offense becomes the main part of it, and they're moving the football. Well, maybe all of a sudden, and to use your quote, that you were talking from Kyle Shanahan, they had a championship defense. They needed to get the offense right. Well, if they can prove over the next several weeks getting their guys back, they have a championship caliber offense, then maybe they do something on defense that can kind of help them out. I don't think it's going to negate the injuries, but maybe help them out a little bit. But I think you're right. I think this is a wait-and-see approach. I wouldn't be surprised if all the big-time options are off the board, and now they're looking at, the smaller options, which I think were always a possibility. The Jalen Phillips one-year deal, Arden Key, kind of these guys that come in for late-round draft picks that don't really hurt you, that they leave next year, no big deal, no harm, but help your team. And even a guy like Cleveland Farrell, for instance, who just got, released from the Chargers practice squad, bringing a guy like that in, would make a lot of sense because he could help you with depth on the edge. He's not going to provide a lot when it comes to pass rush, but, 4 sacks from Cleveland Farrell when he was here, that's a lot more than you're getting from some of the other guys right now. So things like that, I think, are more prudent moves that they could make instead of a big fish like you talked about.
Yeah, and I fully expect them to do something like that, like an Arden Key type. You mentioned that Tatum Bethune is going to replace Fred Warner, but you have to think maybe Nick Martin is going to get on the field. I would expect from a special team standpoint. I saw somebody was earlier in the chat, I saw somebody that was down on, here Tommy Huxley was, Luke Gifford is absolutely terrible. and, can Nick Martin be much worse than that? I don't know, but I'd like to see him start to get, at least get on the field and start to learn and kind of get his NFL feet under him, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that Luke Gifford had a tough game, that's for sure. I mean, his eyes and some of the things that he was looking at, they targeted him. They did their very first play, they ended up with a Emeka Egbuka lined up one-on-one with Luke Gifford, and Emeka Egbuka got a 9-yard catch. So Tampa Bay, they did a really good job. They executed against Gifford. They got him on the field, and they took advantage of him using their 12 personnel package. And the 49ers, they have a couple of linebackers on this team that are really explosive and really dynamic. And Nick Martin is definitely one of those guys. And we knew it was a slow process when we saw him during the preseason, that he was going to have to grow. At some point, he's going to get on the field, and he's going to be able to produce. That's just, you're going to get to that point, whether it's they need him because the other guys aren't playing better, or they get to a point where the season kind of slips away from them, and now it's time to turn and play all those young guys. I don't think they're to that part yet, where it's like, let's just go for broke, play all of our young guys, see what happens. You're still 4-2, right? You're still the number 1 team in the division, 3-0 record in the division. So I don't think they're ready to give up on their playoff hopes. But I do love the fact that Nick Martin is on this team, because he does have the dynamic ability and the explosiveness to make things happen. I think it is closer to him getting out there as Sam Backer and playing in place of Luke Gifford sometimes, because of that ability to create and generate and get in the backfield and make plays. But the 49ers are also going to have to play some games, I think, with their third down defense when it comes to Tatum Bethune. Because when Tommy said Tatum Bethune's not great in coverage, he's not lying. Tatum Bethune struggles a little bit in that category with his drops and things like that. It might be smart to think about Curtis Robinson playing some of those third downs. He's a better coverage guy. You put him out there with D. Winters, and then Bethune plays more first and second down, which I think could be an option for the 49ers. Or they go to a extra safety. They have plenty of safeties right now. They go to more of a dime look with D. Winters being the only corner or only linebacker. So there's some definite things that are going to happen. This roster is going to continue to move through the depth chart as they kind of figure out how to make up for Fred Warner's loss, because he could do it all, and you don't have that guy anymore.
Yeah, funny you should mention safety, because I'm wondering what's going on at the safety position. Marquise Siegel and Jair Brown started the game on Sunday. Then Malik Mustafa came in. We saw Siegel get beat deep. What are they doing? Because I'm really confused with how. I think that Mustafa, once he's ready, is going to be one of the starters. I don't know. I tend to think that Siegel's going to be the other one, but I don't know. I mean, maybe they're starting to like what they're seeing from Jair Brown. What happened to Jason Pinnock? It's really, I was confused on Sunday what they were doing at safety.
I was surprised when Matt Mayoko put out the report, a few hours before the game, that they were going to start Jair Brown. I thought that came kind of out of nowhere. I guess it was for coverage reasons. That would be my interpretation of what happened. But I will say this: I don't think right now, and Malik Mustafa's got to get his legs back underneath him. I think that was clear watching his 21 snaps, that he's not all the way back. Missed tackles, things like that. That's to be expected for a guy that had no preseason and really no practice to ramp up. I don't think right now the 49ers have a complete safety. They don't have a guy that's good in coverage and a guy that can tackle well, because Jair Brown was the best coverage safety for the 49ers in this game. He got a 65.2 grade. That's great, but he is still a liability when it comes to coming up and stopping players in the run game, coming up and making tackles on crossing patterns and stuff like that. It's not there. Marquise Siegel, on the other hand, is phenomenal at it. Marquise Siegel is really good at tackling. He's by far the best tackling secondary player the 49ers have. So what you have right now is you don't have a guy that can do both. At some point, Marquise Siegel is going to figure it out. He's a rookie. He's a young guy. He's making mistakes because he's got dirty eyes, because he's not used to seeing all the things you see in the NFL and how they'll adjust looks, and you get used to seeing it on film, and all of a sudden the next week they do something just a little bit different, and it throws you off. And so he's going against good offensive players, good quarterbacks that can hold you with their eyes, and you're seeing that. I don't know what they're going to do at safety. They have 4 options. I think that they're going to continue with Jair Brown, Malik Mustafa, and Marquise Siegel in some sort of area that way. And we'll see. But I was not a huge fan of Jair Brown helping in the run game and helping tackle. And I still think that is significant. But Marquise Siegel is giving up the explosive. So we'll see what they end up deciding. Something's got to be figured out in the next couple weeks.
We still don't know yet when Brock Purdy's going to be back. There is no quarterback controversy in San Francisco, but there are things that I like about Mac Jones a lot. I like that he usually gets rid of the ball pretty quick. He's accurate, so he hits those receivers right in stride so that they can catch the ball and move on. He definitely doesn't have the wheels that Brock Purdy has. But I've been really impressed with Mac Jones, even, with the 2 interceptions. I think maybe the first one possibly was on who was that? Was that Kendrick Bourne?
Yeah.
There was definitely a miscommunication, it looked like. So I don't know if that was on Mac Jones. The last one, I mean, the guy was just under some crazy pressure. What do you think there? I don't feel like there's going to be a quarterback controversy, but is there? Could you make a case, at least right now, that Mac Jones is a better fit for the offense? I still think Brock Purdy's better. Obviously, Mac Jones is going to be better if Brock Purdy can't run. With the foot thing that we saw that against Jacksonville, but. What do you think with this whole quarterback situation? I mean, obviously, it's just really fortunate that the 49ers have a backup quarterback that's as good as Mac Jones.
Yeah, I mean, Mac Jones has done a good job. He's really taken what defenses have given him, and he's been able to have a lot of success. And you're completely correct. That first interception is on Kendrick Bourne, and it's on Jake Brendel on the offensive line, and not so much Colton McKivitz. And everyone's going to see that the pressure coming off the outside and believe that it's on Colton McKivitz. It's not. He had to check down. He had to move down and get Dennis, the blitzing linebacker. And you got to give a lot of credit to the Tampa Bay defense. They did a good job of disguising where the blitz was coming from. Jake Brendel moved protection one way. The blitz actually came from the other side with Hassan, and it wasn't even a blitz. It was a four-man pressure, which is frustrating. Hassan Reddick comes from the other side, and it gets that pressure on Mac Jones where he has to make that split-second decision. And Kendrick Bourne, doesn't continue to run out. Now, in the moment, I think that there's a misread in coverage, but it doesn't matter, right? You have to just get rid of the football, and I understand. The second one, not as good. That one, he misread the coverage. He should have thrown it to Jake Tungus underneath. He did that again. The ball to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, where Scantling ended up hitting the ground, almost made a spectacular catch. Juwan Jennings underneath, open. So it was a couple of times we saw that from Mac. But Mac Jones, you're right. He puts a very catchable ball out there. His guys are able to catch it in stride, get yards after the catch. Him and Kendrick Bourne have had a real synergy. They've looked really good together. I feel like he's gotten in a rhythm with Christian McCaffrey and some of the other guys, even a DeMarcus Robinson. They've kind of gotten some ability together. So Mac Jones has done a great job. I still believe that Brock Purdy's the better quarterback for this football team. I think with Brock Purdy in the game, it negates a little bit of the pressure situations because when you blitz Brock Purdy, he can extend the play, he can get outside the pocket and create. That's not Mac's game. That's why you saw 6 sacks against the Patriots, against the Buccaneers. And some of that is on the offensive line, 100%. And some of that is on Mac. There's 1 or 2 sacks you got to put on Mac for holding the ball, not getting rid of it. But the rest are on the offensive line, and they got to wear it. But this is a situation where Brock Purdy's the better quarterback for this football team. He's going to produce more on the field, but Mac Jones has done a great job. And I can't say anything. I don't want to say things negative about him because I think that he's a warrior. He stepped up. He did things. He makes good reads. But I will say in this game, he didn't cut it loose as much as he probably should have, and he missed on a couple of plays that could have been touchdowns. And that's a little frustrating. But that happens to all quarterbacks. I guarantee you the first time Brock Purdy plays, we're going to look at the All-22 and we're going to say, man, he missed this, he missed this. It just happens. It's just the way it is. But I like the problem the 49ers have where they have 2 solid quarterbacks that they can go to.
Yeah, it's a good situation. What's up with Juwan Jennings? You mentioned him earlier. On Sunday, he had 1 catch, 2 penalties, and one of those penalties really hurt a very promising drive. He had 1 sideline spat with his head coach. After the game, he said he was playing with broken ribs, 5 broken ribs. Now, I saw somebody, and I don't know who this is or how legit this is, but I saw somebody on X say that they have a friend who works for the 49ers in like the training or medical, something to do with that. And that person said, we never would have put Juwan Jennings on the field with 5 broken ribs. If that's legit, and I don't know if that is, then you have to wonder, okay, was he just exaggerating or something's just not quite there. I don't know if he's frustrated over the contract or what it is, but man, these wide receivers from time to time just get a little bit in their head.
Yeah, I was a little surprised, with Juwan Jennings. He's always been a consummate professional, a ultimate teammate. He's done so much, for this organization. And that's why I was kind of willing to somewhat overlook it a little bit because this isn't the norm for Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings does everything the right way. And so he did some things in this game that definitely, rubbed people the wrong way. I think there was one quarterback sneak where Mac Jones absolutely got no push, where he just stood there. He didn't move. Every other team, all other 10 guys, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, all those guys are running in there to help. And Juwan Jennings just stood there. And I thought that was kind of a indication of where his mind was. And I understand some of the frustration. When you're dealing with injuries, just getting on the field is hard enough. And then you feel like, hey, I'm out here and I'm pushing myself. I want to be able to make an impact on this game. I want to be able to make some plays. And he wasn't getting targeted. He didn't get targeted until the second half. And it wasn't that he wasn't open. It wasn't that he wasn't a part of the natural progression sometimes. So I'm not even sure how much he wanted to yell at Kyle Shanahan and how much he really wanted to yell at Mac Jones. Because Mac Jones does have a chemistry with Kendrick Bourne and other guys, and he feels confident with that. And he didn't go to Juwan. And I think that there were some things that were definitely not planned for Juwan because the 49ers stayed in some 22 personnel looks and he wasn't on that field very much. But his frustration, he needs to get over it. I thought Trent Williams said it the right way. We're all dealing with something, and that's it. Nobody on this team is 100%. And I don't know if he has broken ribs. I do know he's injured. And anytime Juwan Jennings hasn't played, I ultimately look at it like he must be hurt pretty bad. So I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's going to bounce back. My guess is Kyle Shanahan and him have a conversation. They iron this thing out, and it gets worked out. But it was a little out of the norm for the way Juwan Jennings behaves because this isn't the normal wide receiver. You'd expect this from some other guys, but not from Juwan.
All right. The offensive line is, in my opinion, the most glaring weakness on the team. Rank the 5 starting offensive linemen best to worst for 2025. Obviously, Trent Williams is the Hall of Famer that we know, but I don't know if he's playing the best right now. To me, Colton McKivitz has been playing better. Now, you're the offensive line guru, so I'm really interested to see what you say here. I'm going to give you, let's see, I'm going to go Colton McKivitz, Trent Williams. Gosh, and then it gets bad after this. Man, I think I have to say Brendel, even though that pains me to see that. And then Connor Colby, and I think that Pooney right now is playing the worst. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, I think that Colton McKivitz has struggled a little bit over the last 2 weeks. Before that, it would have been an easy Colton McKivitz is the best offensive lineman right now. He also gets the most help. I gotta say that because you have Trent Williams on the other side, the 49ers chip and do a little bit more on Colton McKivitz's side. I'm still putting Trent Williams number one. I think that Trent Williams, just like that touchdown run for Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams pushed his guy 5 yards deep into the end zone. I don't think it's been as good for Trent Williams for sure. I think he is dealing with the knee still. I don't think that he's going to be that perennial all-pro caliber guy. He's still a good enough offensive tackle. So one of the best left tackles in the league, and it's tough to play left tackle where you go against the best. So I got Trent 1. I got Colton McKivitz 2. I think it is close. I think you got it switched. I think it's fine. Both those guys have been playing pretty well. We've just seen moments. On the inside, though, I'm not going with Jake Brendel, number 3. I think Jake Brendel's had some struggles, especially recently. He made some mistakes when it came to some of the mental parts of it, sliding protection and giving help. They had to give him a lot of help, which put a lot more pressure on Dominic Pooney and Connor Colby this week, dealing with Vita Vea, who was lining up over Jake Brendel because they knew that was the weak spot in his game. I'm going Dominic Pooney 3. I'm going Jake Brendel 4, and then I'll go Connor Colby. This week was Connor Colby's best game since the first time he stepped in. And I think that that's a good sign, but he also didn't get a lot of Vita Vea looks. And so that helped him out a lot. But it was a good improvement. But I think that he's still got a ways to go. If he can show me consistency, and that's how I kind of rate things. Dominic Pooney's not having good games, but he's still a little bit better than those other two. But really, those interior offensive linemen, it's Colt McKivitz and Trent Williams up here, and it's that interior part of that offensive line that's pretty low. It's a pretty steep drop-off right now, and that's sad to say. Dominic Pooney has not been the same. I think it's the knee. I'm hoping it's the knee because we haven't seen a drop-off like this for a starting right guard since Spencer Burford, right? Burford was the same way, really good, and then his sophomore season, it fell apart, and I'm hoping we're not on the same trajectory for Dominic Pooney.
Yeah, I would guess that it's probably related to that knee injury, so we probably won't know until next season. Isaac Guerendo is no longer on the kick return team. I don't know if he's playing special teams at all because I haven't really paid attention to that. Is it time to replace him with Jordan James? Because if Guerendo's not getting any offensive snaps, he's not returning kicks, I don't know that that's what Jordan James is going to do. They had Brian Robinson doing it on Sunday. I just think you have this rookie that's now healthy. I would rather see what he can do than have Guerendo just doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good point. Guerendo is playing other special teams. I've seen him in there on the punt unit and the field goal unit and things like that. So he is playing special teams, but he was providing nothing when it was coming to kick return. I mean, Sky Moore is definitely the better of the two. And, I think that they are missing Jacob Cowling when it comes to that part of the equation. I think that it's not a bad idea to put Jordan James back there. Shoot, I was okay with the Brian Robinson one. Not like Brian Robinson's getting a ton of carries right now anyways. Go see if he can create. I don't think they have a dynamic returner outside of Sky Moore, and really he hasn't got anything that he's been able to break. We just know he has the potential to break something. And so, but teams have been willing to kick it to Sky Moore as well. So I don't know what's up with Garindo. I don't know how they're feeling about him. I do know he's not getting any snaps on offense, like you said. It doesn't look like he's going to get any snaps on offense anytime soon, especially the way Christian McCaffrey is just kind of tearing through things. They need him on the field now with George Kittle coming back. That will help Christian McCaffrey be able to take plays off, maybe get a little bit more Brian Robinson out there because you have a different draw than just Christian. Right now, the defenses have to worry about Christian McCaffrey, and that's pretty much the number one guy. With George Kittle, it kind of changes up so you can have some flexibility. But, yeah, I don't know about Garindo. And really, until I saw this question, I hadn't even thought about Garindo recently. He's kind of become like a little bit of an afterthought where last year he was a big part of the offense and a big part of some of the explosive plays for this offense down the stretch. So it's interesting that he's kind of just, in the background.
Yeah. And, I think some of it has to do with that he will occasionally fumble. And I know with Kyle and Bobby Turner, they do not like when their running backs put the ball on the ground. They hate that. And all coaches do, but they just seem to lean more toward those guys like Elijah Mitchell, who they can count on to not put the ball on the ground. Speaking of Sky Moore, why does he keep fielding punts inside the 5-yard line? He fielded 2 of them on Sunday at the 2. But I can't imagine Brant Boyer likes this. I hate it. I don't know why he keeps doing that.
Yeah, the fact that it happened back-to-back times is really surprising to me. Normally when something happens, Sky Moore did this once before in a game. The very next time he let the ball go over his head and into the end zone. And that's a direct, correlation to Brant Boyer walking up and say, don't do that again. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if he lost where he was on the field or what, but fielding those 2 balls inside the 5-yard line was extremely surprising and a bad move. The 49ers lost net yards on both occasions. One of those, he got out to the 16-yard line. That's minus 4 yards, and that could be huge as far as scoring and field position. So I don't know why he's doing that. I know that they had changed a little bit of the mindset. It used to be that you put your heels at the 10-yard line, anything over your head, you let go. But with some of the punters and some of the ways they've been able to put spin on it, I knew that a lot of teams had moved it to the 8 or to the 5. But he was catching those balls at the 1 or 2 yard line. So that would have had to be one heck of a kick for that to bounce back. So I thought that was interesting. I don't like that. I don't think Brant Boyer is going to like that. And I can tell you right now, Kyle Shanahan's going to let Brant Boyer know that shouldn't happen anymore. So hopefully Sky Moore doesn't do it anymore, because that's just a big mistake. That's a loss of field position.
Yeah, it's bad. I hate it. And every time he does it, I complain to myself. Not that anybody's listening. All right, let's turn our attention to the Falcons game on Sunday night. This is going to be a tough one because we saw what the Falcons did on Monday Night Football. This is a better team than what people realize. And it's going to be interesting because down the road, there are some teams that we thought probably would be easy wins for the 49ers that now may not turn out to be that way, but that's part of what makes it fun. Can the 49ers defense slow down Bijan Robinson? Because this kid is elite, and they've struggled stopping the run again. And I mean, I assume you watched him play Monday night, or at least saw the amount of yards that he had. I mean, he was a huge difference maker. What do you think? Can they slow him down any, or could this get ugly?
Well, it just got a lot tougher. Normally you would say Fred Warner and D. Winters matching up with Bijan Robinson is a good matchup. 49ers can somewhat hang with them. It's like those things. You're not going to stop him, but can you slow him down enough? So there's 2 running backs in the NFL right now that have over 100, scrimmage yards per game every single game. And it's Bijan Robinson and it's Christian McCaffrey. These guys are just tearing it up. With Bijan Robinson, he's got over 800 yards on just 106 touches. Like, the dude's explosive. And I think that that's one of the big problems for the 49ers is they've been running the ball really well in Atlanta. They average over 150 yards per game on the ground. And so I worry that Bijan Robinson is going to get going. And if he gets into the open field, he's a problem. And I think we saw this a couple years ago when the 49ers played Detroit and Jahmyr Gibbs got that speed out on the edge. And that was a real problem for them. So I think this is a very tough matchup for the 49ers. I'm curious to see what they do if they try to bring an 8th guy into the box and they try to put the onus on Michael Penix Jr. to go out there and win, and make some of these big throws to Drake London. They are a little bit injured in the wide receiver room. Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod, both been dealing with hamstrings and other things. So there is a little bit lack there. So they got Drake London, they got Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson is still enough. But yeah, I think that this is going to be a tough one for the 49ers. And I don't know exactly how they match it up. But I think that they're going to have to keep all eyes on Bijan Robinson through the whole game.
Is that the part of facing Atlanta that scares you the most, or is there something else that has you more concerned?
I would say their defense. I mean, their defense has been really good this year. They give up, basically nothing through the air. They are the best pass defense in the NFL. They are a 32% of the time you are able to convert on third down. That's near elite levels. They only give up, 250 yards per game or something like that. They are really good right now on defense. And of course, they've played one less game. They already had their bye week. That Buffalo Bills got to deal with Atlanta coming off a bye week. And I'm sure, that played a little bit into the game planning and things like that. But I do think that defense is pretty good. And they do have some edge rushers that could present some problems. You see guys who were with the 49ers, and you see a lot of young guys like Jalen Walker or James Pierce Jr. They got Arnold Ebiketie. So they've got a lot of edge presence. So if you get to third down and it's 3rd and long, they can come get you. I think that's a big reason why that I hope it's Brock Purdy that's playing quarterback and he can move around the pocket and escape. Because if it's Mac Jones and he's a sitting duck in that pocket, he's going to have to get rid of the football quickly. And if not, he's going to get sacked again. And you might see another similar situation to the Bucs, because I feel like Atlanta's pass rush is better than the Bucs.
Oh, wow. That is scary. Where do you think that the 49ers have the advantage? Obviously, without Bosa and Warner, I would have thought that it was the defense and maybe creating some problems for Penix. But without those 2 guys, I just don't really know what to expect from this defense.
Yeah, with the defense, I think that it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Robert Saleh. I think he's going to have to get more aggressive. I talked about bringing an 8th guy in the box, and I think they're going to have to do that. They've really loved to sit in their too high look. They play quarter shell more than any other team in the NFL, and they want to be able to stop the run with 7 guys. And for the most part, they feel comfortable kind of giving up that 107 yards per game on the ground. Like, if you get it right around 100, they're not worried about it. They feel like they can still win. I don't know if you can kind of let Atlanta get the run game going in this. I mean, these guys are really good, and I'm afraid it turns into the Jacksonville type style of game where Jacksonville is able to run the ball a lot, take advantage of time of possession, and kind of wear that 49ers defense down. So I think it might be aggressive time, put Malik Mustafa, put Marquise Siegel in the box and try to take away that run game and force a lot of 3rd and longs and really put the pressure on Michael Penix to get rid of the football and blitz him heavily. He's not got the ability to scramble. He can scramble, but he's not got the ability to scramble like some of the other guys you win against in the league. So I think that that's kind of the thought process of going against them and taking them away. But it's not going to be easy. They have playmakers. They have weapons on offense. But one thing to watch, Jake Matthews is dealing with an ankle injury. He's day-to-day. If he doesn't play in this game, that could be a huge development that could help the 49ers get after the quarterback a little bit easier.
Joe Carmack asked, are Givens and Mustafa back this week? Mustafa was back last week. Kevin Givens, was he back? I don't remember.
No, he wasn't back.
Yeah, I didn't remember him being activated. So, but yeah, Malik Mustafa was back last week. All right, last question. The 49ers are slight favorites. Will this be an upset, or will the 49ers bounce back and win this game over a good Atlanta team that's probably going to be in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, you brought it up. I mean, the point spread right now, FanDuel has it at 2.5. It's usually 3, for the home team. That basically means it's pretty even. And I think that, what the Atlanta Falcons did on Monday night to the Buffalo Bills definitely got everybody thinking about that. I think this is going to be a tough one for the 49ers. The question is going to be, I think the X's and O's, you can find ways to win. I think the emotional part of this game is what I'm interested to see, is how the 49ers defense bounces back from not having their emotional leader. If there's not a letdown, Kendrick Bourne told Richard Sherman that it kind of sucked the life out of him. If there is not that letdown, if they're able to pick it back up, and a big reason they might be able to is guys like George Kittle, guys like Brock Purdy, if they're back in that lineup, that gives you that juice. Like, okay, we lost Fred, but we got George. It gives you like a little something. I think they need that. There will be energy. It's Sunday night. We know how big that's going to be. They're going to be wearing their throwback reds. So I think the 49ers are in this game. I don't think this is going to be a blowout either way. I think this one comes down to the wire, and who's able to execute down the stretch is going to be able to win. One of the big factors in this game is going to be, if Atlanta has a weakness on defense, it's stopping the run. If the 49ers can get their run game going even a little bit, and George Kittle would be a big reason why it would, I think that if they can get to 100 yards in this game on the ground, I think they have a chance to win.
That's going to be huge, and they really need to do that. They have to get that run game going. That's one of we saw it against the Bucs. Once they knew the 49ers couldn't run and weren't really trying that much, then they just started teeing off on Mac Jones. And so, yeah, the run game, they've got to get that back. Tell us what you're doing with FanDuel.
Yeah, so FanDuel right now, you can bet the over-under. Over-under is at 47.5. With the way Atlanta scored, that's a possibility. 49ers have been scoring a little bit more points. Interestingly enough, though, both of these teams only average just over 20 points per game, and both defenses give up just over 20 points per game. So it's kind of interesting. They're going to give each other opportunities. But if you're going to bet with FanDuel, there's lots of player props. I've been finding a lot. Last week I had Mac Jones, going over 100 or 250 yards. That was easy money, and he definitely did that. I came up just short on my Christian McCaffrey. I had him getting over 60 passing yards, and he got 57. Of course, if you just took the normal Christian McCaffrey, 53.5 over under, you would have won. I went for a little bit more to try to make a little bit of extra cash. But yeah, lots of cool player props and stuff over there on FanDuel. If
Juwan Jennings would have just made that one block, or Mac Jones would have made that one read,
or Jake Brendel would have made the block on the screen, McCaffrey probably would have broke free. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, that's all that we have for today. Please take a moment to hit that subscribe button so that you can be alerted whenever we go live. We appreciate that. Everybody have a great rest of your week. Ant, thanks so much. Look forward to talking with you next week. Hopefully we'll be discussing a 49ers win. See you next Wednesday.